Alston.
Thank you, especially to all the students who are here tonight to share. I can't wait to hear more of the student work and enjoy your things. I want to share with you today a series of brief quotes from a variety of different sources, and I'll try and tie it together with a little shaggy dog story about my community, one of my communities, which is the theater community. And the theater community prides itself on being inclusive and celebrating diversity, and to a great extent that is true. But as I thought about tonight's event, and I thought about the idea of a safe place, a safe space, I thought about how the theater community really invites in and embraces almost everybody, but often tends to assume that some people will never enter their safe space. To kind of illustrate that, I will recall a quote, first of all, from a filmmaker named John Waters, who is most famous probably for creating, writing, and directing the original Hairspray, which then got turned into the very popular, successful movie and musical movie adaptation. But his breakthrough film was a film called Pink Flamingos from about 1971, which I've always despised because there's stuff in this movie that is so vile. It is absolutely calculated to offend even the most hard-boiled of liberal sensibilities, such as my own. And if you can imagine it, it happens in this movie, and it offends you to your core. And when asked about this earlier in his career, why he made such a vile movie, John Waters said, well, I had to make a movie that would offend liberals because I knew that conservatives wouldn't even bother to come see it. So on that same note, right now on Broadway, we have a musical called Hamilton by Lin-Manuel Miranda, a Puerto Rican playwright and actor and composer, and it is the most successful show in decades on Broadway. It has made hundreds of millions of dollars, and it won Lin-Manuel Miranda a Tony for Best Musical and Best Score, and the Pulitzer Prize a year ago for drama. And it is selling, it's sold out for 2 years now. And it is, in his own words, Hamilton, a story very deliberately told to reflect what America looks like right now. We have every color represented, but it is in fact the story of Alexander Hamilton, an immigrant, and the other ragtag founding fathers who made this country great the first time. Shortly after the election in November, I'm sure the cast of Hamilton was very surprised when Vice President-elect Mike Pence entered their theater with a small group to see their show. And as he entered, he sat down and he was booed by most of the audience. They started booing Mike Pence. And then, he stayed because the tickets are like $400 each. And at the end of the show, the curtain call, he quickly got up with his party and hustled to leave. And the cast addressed him. And one of the lead actors stepped forward and said, "We have a message for you, sir. We hope that you will hear us out. Vice President-elect Pence, we welcome you. And we truly thank you for joining us here at Hamilton, an American musical. We really do. We, sir, we are the diverse America who are alarmed and anxious that your new administration will not protect us, our planet, our children, our parents, or defend us and uphold our inalienable rights, sir. But we truly hope this show has inspired you to uphold our American values and to work on behalf of all of us. We truly thank you for sharing this show, this wonderful American story told by a diverse group of men, women of different colors, creeds, and orientations." You will be shocked to hear that as soon as President-elect Donald Trump heard about this, he tweeted an angry response. I know, can you believe that? And this was the response. "Our wonderful future VP, Mike Pence, was harassed last night at the theater by the cast of Hamilton. Cameras blazing. This should not happen. The theater must always be a safe and special place. This was news to me because as someone who has worked and lived in the theater for a long time, going on 3 decades, the theater has never been a safe place for me, in my mind, in my experience. I would say as far back as when William Shakespeare wrote the words, "Hath not a Jew eyes? If you prick us, do we not bleed?" Theater has not been a safe place. Theater has been a place where we can work out problems from the world outside the theater, problems that are insoluble by the time the curtain falls, but which we can at least begin to think about. And as we talked about safe spaces, as we promoted tonight's event, and we went to the dining hall and we chanted a poem where we asked, would you harbor a refugee? I had to think, would I harbor a refugee? Yes. Would I harbor Mike Pence? No, of course not. Because, just as with journalism, a theater artist, any artist's job, should be to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. But, and as we approach my final quotation, I thought then about a play that I talk about in my Gen 2 30 class, dramatic literature. Play by another immigrant, son of an immigrant, Stephen Adly Guirgis. A play called The Last Days of Judas Iscariot. Stephen Adly Guirgis, very liberal guy, wrote this play during the Bush administration, and this is a play about Judas Iscariot, many other characters from the Bible, and Jesus Christ. And a play about mercy, kindness, empathy. And in this play, for almost 2.5 hours, people talk about Jesus and what Jesus would think and what would Jesus do, but Jesus doesn't get to talk for himself until the penultimate scene. And when he appears, he says, and the emphasis here is the playwright's emphasis. Right now, I am in Fallujah. I am in Darfur. Right now, I'm on Lafayette and Astor, waiting to hit you up for change so I can get high. I'm taking a walk through the Rose Garden with George Bush. I'm helping Donald Rumsfeld get a good night's sleep. I was in that cave with Osama and on that plane with Mohammed Atta. And what I want you to know is that your work has barely begun. And what I want you to trust is the efficacy of divine love if practiced consciously. And what I need you to believe is that if you hate who I love, you do not know me at all. And make no mistake, who I love is every last one. I am every last one. Watching Act 2 of this play, watching that monologue this semester, earlier this semester with my class, I got really uncomfortable. I felt again how theater is not a safe place sometimes, even for me. I also had to come to grips with the idea that when Stephen Adly Guirgis wrote those lines, he could count on George Bush and Donald Rumsfeld and Mohammed Atta and Osama bin Laden never entering the theater to see his play. But now that we know that Mike Pence is in the house, I look forward to our dialogue expanding and embracing Mike Pence and every last one. Thank you.
A person who I don't think needs a mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was there a little feedback?
It was great.
Okay.
Kind of reminds me when I was studying Arthur Miller's The Crucible.
Oh,
okay, with McCarthyism and all that. And I don't know if you touch on that at all in your classes.
We will.
So, yeah.